Hey everyone. Just gonna set up the general ledger quickly. So in the previous episodes, we set up our chart of accounts. We've also set up financial dimensions and account structure. So we're now actually ready to transact on the general ledger. So we can do things. We wouldn't really be able to do journals because we don't have journal names, but theoretically, from an actual point of view of accepting transactions, the general ledger is ready. So let's just go through some of these other elements. So general ledger parameters. So normally what I would do is I would set up GST, which I don't know if we'll have time in this video. And then I'd actually start editing some of these settings, but since we haven't set up GST yet, I'll come back to this. The one thing I really want to make sure you're aware of is the batch transfer rules. So the subledger, when a financial transaction occurs, that financial transaction has to flow upstream through to the general ledger. If it doesn't, then ultimately your ledger is going to be wrong and your subledger to ledger won't balance. So for some reason, AX always makes it a scheduled batch by default. I hate this personally. It means if I'm looking in the subledger and I'm looking at the ledger and I see a difference, I panic. I don't know what's happening, and then I've got to go through and look to see what's not been posted. I don't like it. I always change it to synchronous. Again, this could be your call, but personally, this is what I like to use. So general ledger workflows. So we're not going to set up any workflows just yet. There'll be a whole series on workflows, but these are the workflows you can create: ledger elimination, daily journal, allocation, and advanced. But for now, it's a bit out of scope doing workflows. So here's our ledger. Okay, so we can't actually configure our ledger. I made a mistake. Our ledger is not actually ready for transactions. Once the ledger this year has been done, then we can set it up for transactions. So I'll open it and I'll show you actually what's missing. So we've got a chart of accounts, we've got account structure, we've got currency. What are we missing is the financial calendar. So let's do that, and then we can set up the ledger, and that'll be a good amount of information for this episode. So let's go to financial calendars. We're gonna go new. I'm gonna call it standard, just because, yeah, to be consistent with my other naming, and I want to go far back. So the one issue I find with this is once you created your first financial year, it's hard to go back and create a previous fiscal year. Creating the next one is really easy, but so I want to go back to 2015. Actually 2016 should be grand, because it's a single server and all of that wonderful stuff. I'm going to start. So the fiscal year in Australia runs from 1st of July till the 30th of June. So for Murdoch, so as you saw earlier, the chart of accounts is global. So all companies have access to the chart of accounts, and they're shared amongst companies. Same thing with account structure. However, each legal entity / company will have its own ledger defined for it. So all of these companies, whether it's JMT Properties, Murdoch, or Kudu, they're gonna abide by the same calendar, that the financial calendar that the ATO uses. So the ATO within Australia is Australian Tax Office, and so for your country you may be using a slightly different financial year, but this is how we're going to do it for within Australia. So we're going to say that, and we're going to say the fiscal year ends in June 2017, the 30th, and we're going to say the length of period is a month. We're going to call this 2017. So it's actually, if we're being totally honest, that would be what our financial year should be called. So let's see if we can get away with creating that. There you go. So that's created, and you can see there's all my periods. So start again. This is American notation. So to change that, you can just click on your and then your calendar and change date and time settings. So I'm going to change the time zone. I'm going to look here for Melbourne. So where is Melbourne? There's Melbourne. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to change calendar settings, and I'm going to say I don't want long date. Normally there's some form of localization to change that on the system. Couldn't be format. Yeah, you got to change this format. I couldn't be bothered finding it now. So yeah, home location, let's change this to Australia, and hopefully that'll resolve all of that. There we go. Now apply that. Cool. Time now is correct. Although the date is still wrong, but I don't care too much about that. Some people are a bit pedantic, but for me, I'm okay with that. So there's our financial period set up. Okay, so opening all of our operating periods, and then we've also got our closing periods. So you can see that's all good and set up correctly. So now we can go to the ledger. We can choose a chart of accounts, standard, account structure. So let's choose our fiscal calendar. This is going to be Aussie dollar. Reporting currency is also going to be Aussie dollar. So the difference between accounting currency and reporting is accounting currency is the value of exchange, whereas the reporting would be literally your reports would report in a certain currency. So you could have it. You could, for example, have all your transactions occur in Aussie dollar, but then every time you report them in US dollar. But it's your call. I like to stick to one. I'm going to choose the account structure standard. So I'm going to probably do a bit of processing. I need to double. There you go. Okay. Just click yes. And then updates everything. And there you go. I could put in these main accounts, but since we're not doing any foreign exchange trading at this stage, it's not really necessary, only when we start doing some international trading. So there we go, that's our ledger set up. So now our ledger is actually working for Kudu. If we actually go into Murdoch, you'll see that the ledger for Murdoch won't be set up. You see, so that's what I meant when each legal entity gets their own ledger. So for now though, because we're setting it up pretty standard and we're not making it too fancy, we're just going to set them all up the same way. So there we go. Boom, boom, boom. We're going to then add that. Yeah, happy with that. Happy with that. Cool. Now Murdoch set up, and then we'll also set up JMT properties. Okay, choose the financial calendar. $. There we go. And we'll set up an account structure. Yeah. And there we go. Now all three companies have been set up with a ledger. So all three companies can now have transactions occur against that ledger. So that's all for now. Next episode, I believe we'll go into GST. Let's see. Yeah, I think next episode, let's go into GST. And then from there, we'll start getting into journals. And yeah, that should be fun. Yeah, so I think the next episode we'll deal with GST and journals. So until then, yeah, if you like the video, great, give it a little thumbs up. If you want to subscribe, do that. Ultimately, I'm not trying to sell you anything. It's just, it's good to get this knowledge out there. So yeah, hopefully you learned something. Cheers.